I want to talk about some rules for limits. These are equations and tricks that we can use to calculate limits without having to draw a graph or worry about epsilons and deltas every single time. The first of these that I want to talk about is the function y equals x. And so this is limit law number 8 in your book. But I'm putting it first because I think it's kind of the most important one. The limit of the function y equals x as x approaches any value, so I'll just use a here to stand in for the value I'm taking. This limit is going to be equal to a. Now this might not sound terribly exciting, and it's, not a whole lot, it's nothing to write home about, but it will become important as we work through more of the limit laws. So if I have some coordinate a here, and my x is getting closer and closer and closer to a from the left or from the right, I can trace along the curve of this graph. Well, it's a straight line, but the graph. And my y coordinate is getting closer and closer and closer to the value y equals a as well. So if someone ever asks you, what is the limit as x approaches 3 in the function x? Well, x is going to 3. Not a whole lot to say there. However, let's use some of the other limit laws to really wring some extra benefit out of this law number 8. So, going off of the list in your book, and this is in section 1.4, limit law number 1 says that, well, first of all, if f of x and g of x, these are both going to be functions, if these both have a limit as x approaches the coordinate a, then we get to use these formulas. So number 1 says the limit of the function f of x plus g of x as x approaches a equals the limit of just f of x, x approaches a, plus the limit of g of x as x approaches a. So if you have two functions added together, as long as both of these limits exist separately, we can add them up, and this will be equal to our answer on the left. Okay, cool. So as a sidebar, let's try to calculate the limit as x goes to the coordinate 1,000. The function I want to use is 3x. If I want to use this limit law, I'm going to rewrite my function and say I'm really taking the limit of the function x plus x plus x. X is going to 10,000. So as long as my limits exist separately, I can calculate them separately and add them back together. So limit of x as x goes to 1,000 plus the limit of x as x goes to 1,000 plus the limit of x as x goes to 1,000. I know that each of those separately, those limits are going to be 1,000 each, and I just add them up and I get 3,000 as the answer to that integral. Integral, excuse me, I'm thinking of my other class. The answer for my limit, sorry.